Hello everyone, this side Mukund from College Dunia. Today I am with Dr. Sunil Jakodia, Dean Faculty of Business Management, Marwadi University, Rajkot. He has been a merit list holder in AISSCE examination of CBSE all over India and also completed his graduation, post-graduation from the University of Rajasthan. He has also completed his PhD in the field of direct taxation from the University of Rajasthan, Jaipur. He has been serving in the education sector from the past 22 years, and from the last 3 years, he is in Marwadi University. Good morning, sir. It's a pleasure to have you on our portal. So, can we start with a questionnaire session?
First of all, good morning, Bal. So nice to have you here. And I would like to thank you for giving such a wonderful introduction. And through you, I would also like to thank your viewers, your listeners who are on this program for giving me this opportunity to speak to them. Yes, please. I am ready. You may begin your questions now.
Sir, so on that note, I'm coming down to the first question. You have held a key position in an education institute throughout your professional career. What are the key factors that keep you connected with the education sector?
Okay. Thanks, Bal. A wonderful question. Well, I've been a teacher all through my life. It has been almost more than 23 years now since I've been associated with this teaching profession. And there are plenty of things actually which keeps me bound to this profession. And the most important one of them is that it is a very noble profession, and it is the learning rather than teaching which is more important. You are always connected with a community of academicians, a community of intellectuals, and thus you are always full of fresh ideas. Okay, you are yourself being an educator. You give fresh ideas to others, and in turn you receive great ideas from your colleagues as well. So this constant exchange of ideas always keeps you updated, always keeps you very fresh in terms of subject knowledge, very updated in terms of subject knowledge. That is one. And secondly, being in education has got a very important, I should say, a benefit or a positive thing, that you are always with students. Students are generally young, whether they are students are young, whether they are in 12th or whether they are in the university system or the college system. You are always surrounded with people full of energy, full of enthusiasm, and it just is not possible that that kind of energy and spirit rubs onto you. So the second key feature that I find very good as far as teaching profession is concerned, that your energy levels are always high because you are in the midst of a number of students. And finally, one more thing which I would like to add here about the teaching profession is that teachers are the first one to adapt to changes. Rather, I would like to say, not only very keen to adapt the changes, but they are the change agents themselves. They are very they accept the notion of change, and they actually don't wait for any order or any instruction or any law to be passed to take that effect. But depending upon the requirements, they always make changes, and accordingly, I think the teachers are one of the best change agents. One simple example that I would like to give you, in the last few months, since our country and the entire world got hit by this COVID pandemic, and when we started discussing with our teachers about how to react to it and how to continue with the teaching learning process, then we were pleasantly surprised to find that all the teachers were very forthcoming and very keen to see that whatever may come, the teaching learning process doesn't stop. So all in all, you are in a noble profession, and you always have a feeling of satisfaction of having done something good for the society, and it creates a lot of capital for you when you see students who have graduated from your college, from your university, recall your contributions. It's a very happy feeling, and that is something which is a moment to cherish for all life.
That's very nice, sir. That's very nice. On that note, moving on to next question. Being the dean of Marwadi University, how do you strategize about the key programs and plans for the marketing and administrations of your university?
Okay. Thank you, Bal. So I'll be taking up your question in two parts, as you asked about the marketing and administration of the key programs. See, when it comes to the key programs that we begin for our students, we being educators are quite aware that there are diverse perspectives, and it will require a lot of community support. So any program does not come into existence in isolation. There is a lot of background work that we do before we start a new program, and that background work involves getting inputs from all the major stakeholders of the society. We get inputs through the parents, we get inputs through the students, we get inputs from the faculty members, we get inputs from the corporates, we get inputs from the employers, and we get inputs from all the major stakeholders of the entire education system. So these inputs are formalized by means of various academic bodies. For example, we have bodies like the Departmental Advisory Board, the Board of Studies, the Syllabus Review Committee, and for guiding all the educational activities, all the academic activities, we have the Board of Management. So whether it is the parents or the corporates, all of them find some or the other kind of representation whenever a new program is talked about, right? So there is contribution coming from subject experts, and there is contribution coming from the industry experts as well. So this ensures that whatever program we are coming out with is useful for the students, will help them get good jobs, and ultimately will ensure that they get to live a very satisfied life in their careers.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
And coming on to the sorry, I forgot the second one. So coming on to the second part, when it comes to marketing, see, we here strongly believe that our students are the best marketers, if I may use the term. They are our brand ambassadors, right? And the quality of education that we deliver is finally reaches out to all the stakeholders, to the general public, through our students alone. So apart from the usual marketing channels, which practically every university follows, we mainly bank upon our students, who are our brand ambassadors, and who are ultimately the persons who ensure that our message, our university's message, our university's values, vision, mission, all reach out to the general public.
Okay, sir. Okay, that's very nice. Sir, how does the curriculum of Marwadi University ensure the best practice of the industry, as it is one of the leading leading university in the Saurashtra region? So, what is the curriculum of Marwadi University that ensuring the best practice for this industry, education industry?
Right. Thank you once again, Bal. So I think partly I have answered this question of yours in the earlier question. Anyway, I'll little bit elaborate on the same further. The success of any program and the success of any curriculum primarily rests on two important things: the academic rigor of the program and its proper and successful execution. So when it comes to academic rigor, we ensure that our curriculum, the course content that we offer to our students, is always updated. As I mentioned earlier, this updation is not merely an academic updation. This updation ensures that the curriculum which we are trying to offer is always is as per the needs of the industry, is as per the requirements of the ever-changing skills that the industry needs. So, in order to understand what the industry and the corporate requirements are, we have formalized a system where industry experts serve on important academic bodies, and hence there is a continuous flow of inputs coming from the industry leaders as well. That is number one. Number two, we also have a system of guest lectures where on a weekly basis industry leaders or professionals from the corporate sector, they come and deliver sessions on the learning aspect of certain topics, which does not fall necessarily in the theoretical part of the curriculum. So with this, we are able to ensure that our syllabus is constantly updated every 6 months with valuable inputs coming from the subject experts, number one, and the industry, number two.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. That's very nice. So, what what would you think the Marwari University top priority over the next 10 years?
Thanks again, Bal. Marwari's top priority in the next decade. I'll begin by mentioning here that this year has been extremely disruptive in nature. I'm sure you are aware. And the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted everyone in a way that was not anticipated, and it is highly unprecedented as well. So obviously the universities and the educational system cannot also escape its impacts. And every university, and we are also feeling the same, but we have been very proactive in this, and we have ensured that the teaching learning process between the teacher and the taught never comes to an end. So what was taking place, the knowledge dissemination and propagation, what was taking place in the four corners of a walled classroom, now it has moved out of it, and it is being done through online teaching, right? This COVID-19 has disrupted universities worldwide. The impacts are short-term, and which is studied through a shift to remote learning, and there are long-term implications as well for the provision and structure of higher education. Now, universities will be forced to make a choice because exponential changes are taking place in technology. Technology is driving the new industry demands, the new workforce skills, new providers, new think tanks are entering the university marketplace. Government funding to higher education is also changing continuously. Now, these challenges are forcing universities to face what I would call an existential moment. So, in the coming years, degrees may not be the only qualifications that a university may offer you. And as the world continues to change, you will need to top up your skills during your career, or there could be a situation you might have to altogether change the industries where you're working. But as it is normally said, in these times, learning never stops. So what skill you had yesterday, those skills may not be required after 5 years. So if we are content with believing that I have a particular set of skills, and those set of skills are able to provide me a career or remuneration or emoluments through my entire career, then it would be difficult. So students and people should be willing to change and should be willing to be in a mode of lifelong learning. So as universities, we might have to move towards a mix of degrees, having shorter cycle courses. The over dependence on traditional degrees, 3-year degrees, 4-year degrees, may give way to short-term courses. which are more hands-on in nature, which are more skill-oriented, which are more towards outcome-based. Okay, universities might have to work with industry partners, and while working with industry partners, we may have to co-create qualifications and degrees and certifications, and we might have to respond to industry changes and move uh, more rapidly with the changing needs of the workforce.
That's very
So,
nice.
Bal,
Yes.
uh, the entire scene in the academic world is changing very fast, and I think the Marwadi University also will ensure that we are in the forefront of adapting to this change.
That's very nice, sir. On that note, moving on to next questions. When you first came to Marwadi University three and a half years prior, what is your vision for the university? Has it evolved over the time? How far along in implementation that vision are you?
Thanks again, Bal. The vision for any university has to be one only, and that is being learner centric, being student centric, being able to provide programs, courses, diplomas which are industry relevant, which create values for the students, and which would enable the students to get gainful employment. So this vision of the university has remained across and will continue to remain in the near future as well. As far as my personal vision is concerned for the university, I would like to see Marward University as one of the top 500 universities in the world in the next decade. Okay, so this is a kind of vision that we have for this university, because as of now we don't find any Indian university in even the top 200 rankings across the world. So we are obviously not among the very best if we compare ourselves with the leaders across the world. But with constant efforts, there is no reason why we cannot reach there, and we are willing to make a small contribution from our part.
Okay, sir. So I just want to know uh, what would you what would you like people to know about the university that may not they are not in knowledge till now? What unique cheese you
Okay.
want to unique thing you want to present on the behalf of university?
Okay, okay, okay. Thanks again, Bal. So I think this question you will allow me to spend a little bit more time, because as far as my own university is concerned, there are plenty of things that I would like to speak about, that I would like students to know about. Okay, so let us begin. There are a lot of things. One thing that probably the students do not know is that we are located in a state that is considered to be the growth engine of the Indian economy, right? We are located in a city, Rajkot, which is the third fastest growing city in India and the 22nd fastest growing city in the entire world, right? We are located in a city which is this region of Saurashtra is considered to be an industrial hub of automotive industries, of submersible pumps, of diesel engines, and casting and forging industries. We are a university which, when started, we started with a faculty strength of around 22 faculties, and now we have reached a strength of more than 500 faculties, out of which around 125 faculties are PhD holders. We started with 288 students way back in 2008, and now we have close to 9,500 plus students. We have students across 31 countries. So you can easily imagine the kind of diversity that we have on our campus. We have students from Africa, we have students from Southeast Asia, we have students from Middle East, we have students from South Asia. We are one of the institutes which got a NAAC rating of A+ in its very first attempt. The Marwadi Education Foundation group of institutions was ranked in the year 2017 with a rating of A+. So our institute is the only institute in the entire state of Gujarat to have got this rating. Now, when we started off, we had only 6 courses to offer, and as on today, we are offering more than 32 courses across various disciplines like engineering, science, commerce, computer applications, law, management, then pharmacy, physiotherapy, architecture, design, and so on. We are an institute where we started with a built-up area of 2 lakh square feet, and as on today, we have more than 10 lakh square feet of built-up area spread over more than 45 acres of land. And as on today, more than 1,000 companies have visited for placements. We have 17 high-end technical labs for our engineering and computer application students. We have a business analytics lab for our MBA business analytics students. We have 24 industry associations with giants like Cisco, IBM, TCS, Wipro, the National Stock Exchange, Oracle. We have got 17 memorandum of associations, MOUs, with international universities spread across America and Europe. Prominent among them being the Illinois Institute of Technology, Chicago, the Kent College of Law, Chicago, the Youngstown State University. So there are a lot of things, I can go on and on. There are a lot of things that I would like the students to know about what Marwadi University is and what kind of growth it has made in a very short time period of 12 to 13 years. But above all, the most important thing that I would like to emphasize is that Marwadi University is a university which has a relentless pursuit towards excellence and a laser focus on the student-centric model. So when I say the student-centric model, I mean to say that the student, his development, his growth, his career becomes the center point of all our activities. Whether the activities are academic activities, curricular activities, co-curricular activities, or extracurricular activities. Thank you.
That's very nice, sir. So the next question would be similar to that you have answered right now. I just want to know the greatest strength of Marwadi University.
Well, there are a lot of strengths, as I've already spoken about, and we genuinely pride in that. But there are a few other things also to answer your question. The first one is that we have a high concentration of talented teachers, researchers, and students. Awesome attitude. So students and faculties are recruited without any border constraints. This thing enables us to focus on attracting the most talented people to our university, no matter where they come from. So our doors are open to all new ideas and approaches. As I was mentioning earlier, we have faculties from practically every state of this country being represented, and we have international faculties as well. Now, the second and another important factor for the success, or what I would say, the USP of Marwadi University would be a combination of freedom, autonomy, and leadership. So we thrive in an environment which fosters competitiveness, which fosters unrestrained scientific inquiry, which fosters critical thinking, innovation, and creativity. Students here are continuously encouraged to be creative, to ask questions, because that is the beginning of a scientific inquiry. These are the soft skills which are going to be in great demand. They are already existing in great demand right now, but the demand is set to increase with advent of automation, artificial intelligence, machine learning, right, Internet of Things, and things like that. The mechanical processes, the routine processes for which people were employed, they are set to decrease. However, the utility of people will continue to remain, and the demand for people with skills of innovation, creativity, lateral thinking, that will continue to remain. So these things we are highly particular in ensuring that our students continue to be living in an environment and in an ecosystem which constantly fosters this. So we another thing is that we practice complete autonomy. We are agile. I have spoken about it earlier also, that we are very adaptable to changing industry needs. Our board of studies, our academic bodies sit every 6 months, and we are getting a constant flow of information and inputs from industry leaders as to uh, what is the best curriculum, what are the best skills which are required for the students. So we do not bind ourselves into a bureaucratic type of setup where a lot of time is required to get clearances, and by the time you introduce a new topic or a new skill into the curriculum, by the time it has become too late, and the skill which was sought to be introduced is no more required in the industry. So our ability to manage resources efficiently and quickly respond to the demands of a rapidly changing global market, this is something that I would also like to uh, say is one of our USPs, one of our strengths. Another thing is that we cater to the student population's diverse needs by concentrating efforts on the local community and the economy, and effectively ensuring that there is sustainable economic development. So, all in all, we ensure that Marwari University takes care of all the stakeholders when it comes to uh, offering programs, when it comes to offering skills to the students. So a mutually win-win relationship between all stakeholders.
That's very nice, sir. I was going to ask my next question, that is, what is the USPs of the Marwari University? But you have spoken very well in this, so I think it is covered in this. So, on that note, moving on to the next and the last question. So, I just want to know what are any suggestion you would like to give to the current youth and the aspiring student who was looking for the admission in Marwari University or in any other place as well.
Thanks, Bal, once again. See, as far as the message to the students is concerned, I would like to tell them that the future has always been uncertain, but in the last few years, as we see developments taking place rapidly, technologies changing rapidly, here has become more VUCA. The world has always been volatile and ambiguous and uncertain and complex, but the last one decade has seen it becoming even more volatile, even more ambiguous, even more uncertain. So this requires a proper understanding of what is required in this rapidly changing world in order to sustain ourselves. So, as per various reports, I would be sharing for the benefit of the students, as per various reports which were commissioned by industry bodies like NASSCOM or Ernst and Young and FICCI, uh, there are some key projections, right? For example, by 2025, almost 20% of the jobs do not exist today. By 2025, almost 50% of the jobs would be deployed, but with a completely and radically changed skill set. Means what you now know will no longer be required. And I think a few of these things have already started happening. Now, sectors like BFSI, IT, retail, and auto, these are going to be sectors which will have the maximum impact, where the maximum impact of this rapid technological changes will take place. And the technologies which will drive all these changes would be automation, robotics, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, machine learning. So they will be the forefront of driving this change. So what I'm trying to convey to the students is that the skill set required after 5 years will be drastically changed. So we don't have any time to rest. For example, there are a number of new areas which students can look forward to in the next 5 years. The type of jobs, the job profiles, the skill set requires are going to change. So let us say there will be more and more demand of people who can work as business analysts, people who can work as digital or media marketing experts or strategists, people who would work as retail data analysts, as product facilitators, as inventory management and logistics specialists, as a digital merchandiser, as credit analysts or investment fund manager, chief digital officer, issue redressal specialists, and so on and so forth. So these are the type of designations and the role profiles which were not present only a few years ago, till only a few years ago. So the students need to be well prepared for that, and for that purpose they need to gain the requisite skill set for the same. Now, when I talk about designations like business analytics person or a digital marketing expert, it's not only the technical component. The students will require a lot of managerial inputs in it. For example, at our university, we have introduced an innovative program that is MBA in Business Analytics, which is obviously going to be in heavy demand and is a future course. Now, it is a judicious amalgam of management courses as well as the analytics courses, which definitely will lead them to jobs in the analytics sector in the coming future. So skills like predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics, descriptive analytics, and in areas like HR and finance and marketing, and with skills like advanced Excel or SPSS, R Studio, SQL or Power BI, and so on. So a lot of these skills do not require to get into the technical aspects of, say, coding or programming. You need to understand how these tools are, and that is the need of the hour. How these tools are going to be applied in real life management situations, and that is what is called for. So an MBA in business analytics is going to prepare you a lot for all these areas what I have talked about.
That's very nice, sir.
So in short, sorry. In short, my message for the students in one line would be that let us prepare ourselves for lifelong learning. So at every stage of life, you would be required to unlearn and relearn yourself, and at the same time, continuously ensure that you gain new and new skills adaptable to the changing circumstances.
Thank you very much, sir. That's all from my side. Anything else you want to say? That's all from my side, sir.
Thank you once again. Thank you to College Dunia. Thank you, Val, to you for initiating this interview. And thank you to all your listeners and viewers who have been very patient.
Thank you, sir.
Throughout the entire. Thank you.
My pleasure, sir.